Hi, welcome everybody. Welcome back to the Be Healthy Summit and welcome Marisa Cranfill. I'm
Thank
happy to have
you.
you on.
Thank you, Stephanie. I'm happy to be here.
Great. Marisa Cranfill is the founder and director of Yochi Yoga and Qigong. Frequent trips as a child inspired Marisa to study academically and work in Asia for over 15 years. While living in China and Thailand, she received direct transmission from Qigong masters, nuns, and healers in the Buddhist, Taoist, and Thai shamanic traditions. Their guidance and blessings to teach became the catalyst for her to develop the Yochi method based on the 6 phases of Qigong flow. So Marisa, can you please tell us a little bit about your background? Why do you do what you do?
Well, as I look back every year on my life, I see how the circumstances that I was born into kind of created my path. While at the same time, of course, we choose our paths, but we can't get away from where we're born and the family we're born into and these circumstances. So it just blows my mind, the universe and the magic and mystical aspect of life. So I was born and raised in California, and just like a normal family, went to a normal California high school and grew up on the beach. And as a child, I really already could feel energy. I could feel that there was something there in the sun, in the beach, in the ocean, but I didn't know how to tap into that energy. And my mom started a business in Asia when I was very young, and she was going there often. So she took me along with her, and I saw the temples in Thailand and I saw the Buddha. And this had a big impact on me because I saw this beautiful golden statue, huge ones, of course, in Thailand, meditating. And I'd never seen anything like that in my life, especially coming from, the West Christian traditions, Jesus and the cross type thing. So this was like a wow moment for me as a child that inspired me to go back and study in Asia once I was old enough and graduated high school. So I went back and that's what I did. And I wound up in China at university studying Asian studies and Chinese language. And that's where I discovered Tai Chi and Qigong. And then I went back to Thailand and continued studying yoga. I went to India and studied yoga and meditation and started teaching meditation retreats with my meditation master. She actually asked me to, which I was scared. I didn't really want to at that time. I was like, really, me? I'm not ready for this. But she was like, yes, you have to do this with me. And she asked me to teach Qigong and yoga at the retreats, which was really unusual in Thailand at that time, because the Vipassana tradition in Thailand is quite strict. So normally they don't mix in, especially physical practices. It's in the Thai tradition. So I brought the Qigong and yoga in a very, awareness-based, mindfulness-based way to integrate it with the way that they teach Vipassana. And it worked. And the students at the retreat were like loving it. They had less pain in their body. They could sustain the meditations longer. They had more balanced energy. And they looked forward to our practice every morning that I was teaching. And so this grew and grew in Thailand. I started working with more Buddhist communities. And it inspired me to, start making videos, because I would leave Thailand and the students were like, now what do we do without you? So I started to make them videos. And then little by little, I thought, oh, I want to make more beautiful videos. And that's how the whole YouTube started with the channel. And I started developing the whole system of Yochi and the whole program, which is doing really well. So that's it in a nutshell. But, if I bring out something very special about this journey, I would say one memory is that while I was traveling through Asia and studying with the shamans and the nuns, living in the temples, which I did as part of my education at university and on my own, what the consistent theme that the nuns and the monks were constantly telling me was, Marisa, throw away the books, let go of everything you've learned, forget everything that you have learned, and stop trying to study to get more knowledge, to learn something, because it's already there inside. Like, So this path really revealed itself to me that it's not about accumulating more knowledge, learning more techniques, doing more practices. It's actually like letting go of what we're holding on to reveal our true inner light and what's already there, our connection to source and nature and all that is already present. So that's really the core of my life and what I teach through these practices.
That's beautiful. And how far is Qigong different from yoga?
Well, there's similarities and there's differences. You know, the goal of Qigong and yoga is to promote a smooth flow of energy and open up your energetic channels in the body so that you can be a conduit of universal energy, so that you can connect to heaven and connect to earth. And when the channels are open, we're naturally conduits. That's our human body is designed this way with intelligent design. But often the channels are blocked due to stress, tension, toxins, all these things. So this is what the commonality for me between the Qigong and yoga practice is, this clearing and opening to have union, which yoga means union, right? Yoga means to yoke. Qigong means energy cultivation, but it's really about creating balance. And through this balance of yin and yang, sun and moon, union of heaven and earth, we become a conduit and we expand. So through balance comes expansion. So this is the commonality between, I'd say, the ultimate goal of yoga and Qigong. But of course, when you get into the practices, that's a whole nother conversation of commonalities and differences. And we can talk about that if you're interested.
Yes, I'd love to, please.
Okay, so if we look at the systems, because first we really need to look at what is yoga and what is Qigong. And within yoga, you have different branches of yoga. So it's important to understand that yoga is not just hatha yoga, right? We have Raja Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, and Karma Yoga. So there's different ways of expressing union and going through the path of yoga. Qigong also has different schools of Qigong. There's martial Qigong, where you apply Qi to fighting. There's medical Qigong, which is all about healing the body. There's spiritual Qigong or Shen-Gong, which is about cultivating your spirit. So all these schools have, similarities and differences with each other between yoga and Qigong. And ultimately, energetically, I would say often you find yoga is working with the central meridian or the Sushumna, right, to move energy up and down the spine. But they often focus on opening the crown and going like up and out to the universe, getting out of this life, breaking free from samsara, breaking free from this cycle of rebirth. Whereas in Qigong, we end a practice in the lower dantian, in the belly. So even though we would work with the energy at the top of the head, we always bring it down to the body, bring it back into this world, and integrate our practice into daily life. So this is another fundamental difference between India and China. Chinese are very earth-oriented and here and now in this like material world, whereas in India, they're more non-material. They're like going out into spirit, very, very spiritual. But at the same time, back to this union, it's all about bringing it all back together anyways. So integrating it all back into the body. And so that's where the practice, the energy cultivation practices are similar and different. Yoga works with the chakras, right? The 7 chakras. Qigong has the 3 dantian. So we have the lower dantian, the middle dantian, and the upper dantian. And the dantian are elixir fields. They're where qi gathers, and they have a different function from what a chakra has. So they're similar but different. It's very tricky. Chakras are also energy centers. They're energy wheels that are spinning, and they have an influence on our vibration, on our emotions, on our energy. But dantian have I would say, a deeper role in the whole energy system and with the organs. Qigong puts a lot more emphasis on the organs, the internal organs, than yoga does. They both work with their own systems of healing, like yoga works with Ayurveda and Qigong works with Chinese medicine. So in that way, they're similar again. But I wouldn't cross over yoga and Qigong energy practices. And this is something that's really important because people, they see Yochi, what I teach is Yochi, yoga and Qigong. And some people who are traditionalists are very quick to criticize and say, oh, you shouldn't mix practices with yoga and Qigong. And I don't actually mix practices much between yoga and Qigong. If you've done the videos, I keep the Qigong flow, and then we have the yin yoga, and there's a yang yoga flow, which is the most mixed. But when it comes to internal alchemy, working with the internal energy, I would not suggest mixing yogic energy, internal energy work, and Qigong internal energy practices, because they're very specific when you're working with energy. Now, working with body movement and flow, for me, this is not a problem at all. Yoga is more linear, I would say, in the postures, and Qigong is more round. Qigong uses repetitive flow, where yoga, you use one posture static and breathe, or, vinyasa is more flowy, but it's still more linear than Qigong. But they can be combined in a way that works really nicely together. And that's what I've been working with, is combining these two, because both yoga and Qigong also have static postures. In Qigong, we hold postures for a long period of time. And this is a big similarity with yoga, because as the original yoga was taught, they would, a yogi would just take one posture, stand on one leg for like all day, right? Or just sit in Padmasana all day, or Mahamudra, like all day or hours, and take one posture. So we do that in Qigong also. So these kinds of holding a posture, the idea is you're affecting a specific energy line in the body, and you're building up the chi in the body, the prana, and you're using the breath and the mind. And so it's a meditation. It's just, that's what it is. It's ultimately a meditation in a posture. So they both have these characteristics. So I've jumped around. You can see there's so many similarities. There's differences, especially when it comes into working with the energy internally, which is more advanced practices that actually, you go to yoga studio, you're not going to even do those kinds of advanced yogic practices, really, because they're not something a beginner would be ready to do. They're more advanced practices, and the same with Qigong. So I wouldn't teach these kinds of Nei Dan practices on YouTube to just an average person, because you really need to have a strong container, a strong, healthy body free from obstructions, so that when you work with the internal energy, the chi flows in a healthy way, that you don't get hurt. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a wonderful explanation. Thank you for explaining it so well. You also use tapping quite a bit in your videos. What's that all about? What happens when we use the tapping technique?
Well, body tapping, so there's so many different kinds of tapping in Qigong, and body tapping is used to clear blockages along the meridians and in the fascia, and it also stimulates the cells, so it creates a nice vibration, and it creates smooth muscle tissue. So physically, it helps promote blood circulation and, lymph movement, and clears toxins from the body. But energetically, it actually stimulates the chi, stimulates the cells. So you can use your fist. If you don't have, a tool, you can use your hand to slap the skin, and that brings the chi to the surface. And when the chi comes to the surface of the skin, we actually have a protective energetic shield around our skin called the Wei Qi. And this is really good for boosting your protective shield, your immune system. And then there's the tools. So we use like a beanbag or a hitter stick, bamboo sticks and metal sticks. And these have been used in China for hundreds of years. Martial arts artists, Shaolin monks, they still use all these, you know, hitter tools to create an iron body and make their skin, you know, real thick. So if they fight and they get punched, it doesn't hurt. They create a really strong body. So we can do that too. Yeah. And get all the benefits, not just like to get punched, but it builds up your chi power and your strength and your immune system.
Is that something you would recommend doing in the mornings rather, because it is so energizing, or could you also do that at night?
Definitely in the morning. Morning is good. A more gentle practice with patting is good in the evening. You know, you can pat down your body just to clear out any stress from the day, and it's much more gentle and kind of relaxing. But in the morning, we use the hitter sticks, and we add in special breathing techniques called chi packing, which is very important if you want to start advancing your practice, because we're packing the chi and building the chi in the organs. Yeah.
What else did you learn in Asia which you didn't know from the Western life?
Oh, I mean, it started so long ago. Sometimes I feel like I'm more Asian than Western. Sometimes, you know, when I've been in the States for a couple years consistently, but before that I would come back to America and I would be in like shock. After being in Asia, it's much more of a feminine, you know, soft culture, very emotionally open. Now every Asian culture is different. If you can compare Thai people to Vietnamese to Chinese, they're totally different people. But there's this heart connection that I felt when I was there, and the awareness of energy and the awareness of the effect of the environmental chi on your body, and, you know, the nature, the seasons, and the connection to nature. They have a deep understanding that nature is energy, and they easily tap into this. So they also have the Buddhist background, which gives them a respect for meditation practices and a support system with the Sangha, so that, you know, they don't rush to they don't have psychologists as much as they have the temple. So they would go to the temple where they'd be instructed to clear their own mind and purify their own mind rather than talking about it too much. So the faith is very strong. They're also very superstitious at the same time. And superstition can go in the wrong way, of course, like much more superstitious than we are in the West. They believe in spirits and ghosts, and they're constantly, you know, seeing ghosts and experiencing these things. It's very normal for them. But that, you know, that can also create fear and things like that. But this openness to the spirit world really creates an interesting, magical aspect of Asian culture. And it's all connected, because the spirit for them is also a part of their health. So being healthy means that your spirit is healthy and you're tuned into your spirit. And they understand that this spirit that we have is a part of nature all around us. It's a part of the community. It's a part of your parents. So the respect that they have for their parents comes from this deep, deep understanding. They have ancestor worship. They, you know, you go into an Asian's home, they have pictures of their parents with an altar. Their deceased grandparents are on the walls, and they light candles and they pay respect to their ancestors. And it's not just this kind of superstitious ancestor worship, but it's actually an acknowledgement that my DNA, my spirit, comes from this lineage, and I'm carrying the energy of my ancestors in my body. So how we live our life now, we can actually clear the traumas or the pains or the sufferings, the karmas for the lineage through this life. they have a very deep understanding of that. And I think in the West, we're starting to embrace this more, but there's such an angst towards our parents in the West, blaming the parents for, you know, why the kids are messed up. And of course, there's truths in that too. I mean, we learn from our parents, but at some point you have to forgive and take responsibility for yourself. And you realize that, hey, my DNA is actually coming straight from there. So I'm not going to get away from it. It's right in here. And so whether you choose to go through some kind of Western therapy to go through that path of healing, or you go through like an Asian way, is very spiritual, very loving and respectful way. You know, there's all different levels we can work on. So working through all levels, the spirit, the mind, the body, the heart. This is what I found in Asia. This is what we call, you know, holistic health. And this is the model of health that they understand quite well. And in the West, we're starting to embrace too.
That sounds so beautiful. So Marisa, you offer different techniques of therapy, but how do you know what to choose for a student?
Well, right now I have it set up as we're doing the Qigong Fundamentals program. So I'm really working within that at the moment. So I have a lot of private sessions with students, and I can choose from the bag of tools and give them practices to do after talking to them and listening to where they're at. And I have a lot of basic practices, and often what we need to do is purge and clear. We need to clear and build up some foundation of physical strength and also confidence, confidence in the practice itself. So I give real basic tools of practices and then go from there. I don't do private session treatments like a healer would do. There's being a teacher and then there's being a healer. And I think that trying to do both, it can be way too much for one person. You kind of need to choose which path you're going to go on. So I've chose to go on like to empower the student to heal themselves. And I give them the tools to do that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And that's actually what all of the summit is all about.
Yes.
So what about nutrition? Does it also play a role in your health model?
Yes, nutrition is very important. And that's another thing about Asian culture is their whole diet traditionally, not necessarily now. If you go to Asia, they're going to be eating Cinnabon and drinking Cokes and all these things, coffees. But traditional Asian cuisine is based on energy, and it's based on, you know, hot, cold, sweet, spicy, sour, you know, the different tastes and yin and yang. So I follow these principles for myself, and I share them with my students. We suggest to eat with the seasons. Of course, like now it's winter time, so you want to avoid cold food, obviously. You want to keep your body warm and nourish with really rich foods, yang foods, and soups, especially soups for winter. So you eat with the seasons. I eat local. So wherever I travel, if I'm in Thailand or Europe, or I eat local, I don't have that many rules. You know, if I'm in Europe and there's fresh bread, I eat the bread, you know, but at home, in America, I don't necessarily eat bread at all. So I adapt. And it's also very important to eat for your body type. So once you know what type of body you have, I happen to be metal, and which is like vata in Ayurvedic. So I know that raw foods don't work for me. I've tried it. I can have a salad a day, but other than that, you know, too much raw food, it disturbs my spleen. I get the spleen dampness right away. Feel terrible. So cooked foods and also meat once in a while. If I feel like I need the meat, I don't eat beef, but other meats, chicken and fish, and sometimes deer or lamb for the red, because the blood, if my blood needs it from traveling or from overworking or whatever, and I feel I need it, I eat it. But Other than that, I stay away from it because it has a low vibration. So it may be good for our physical survival, the blood, but also it's not a high frequency to eat animals. So just using awareness, of what my body needs and what my spirit, needs at the time, really. I think if you get too crazy and too strict, it's just too many rules, unless you're on a specific functional diet, like, okay, I want to lose weight, or I want to do a cleanse, or, you have a goal to achieve. Okay, be strict, follow it. But other than that, once you get kind of balanced, when you're balanced, you can eat anything you want. I've seen masters eat steak every day when they're in intensive healing sessions. My master in China, he just drank beer and ate chicken one night. Like they're not so strict. Mm-hmm.
How can you find out about the different body types? How do you know what you are?
According to Chinese, well, you could go to a Chinese doctor. One, they'll tell you by looking at you. They look at your constitution, the shape of your face, the shape of your bones, the skin, They look at your tongue, your pulse. They just look at your whole constitution. So there's also great books, Between Heaven and Earth. This is Ephraim. Is he in your?
He's also I'm planning to do an interview with him.
Yeah. Okay, great. Yeah, his book is great. He has a whole questionnaire in there that you can take to find out what is your body type and your personality type in the 5 elements of Chinese medicine, and from there you can adjust your life accordingly. And it really, really works. It's all my students take the test when we start the training, and we go through the whole training looking at how the elements, how everything is affecting them personally according to their element, and it's always spot on. So yeah.
And you already mentioned breath work. Can you please speak to that a little bit more? What's the importance of breath work?
Breath work is very important. So the word qi means life force energy in Chinese, but the character for qi, if you look at the different components, one of the parts of it is breath. So qi is breath, and breath is life, right? We stop breathing, we die. So breathing practices are fundamental aspect of any Qigong training. The thing is that there's thousands of different methods of breathing in yoga and Qigong. And it just really depends on the functional approach I like to take, is what is the outcome you're trying to achieve? Because we can use the breath to do so many things. And so there's like fast breathing, like hyperventilation. We can call this like a coffee breath, right? Where you're breathing very, very fast, over 20 breaths per minute. And then there's very slow breathing, where you're breathing, under 3 breaths per minute. And then there's even breathing, which is about 5 to 6 breaths per minute. And so depending upon these rates of breathing and the volume of air you're taking in, you can manipulate your nervous system and the amount of oxygen and carbon dioxide in your blood and the amount of qi in the body. And you can play with the qi. So science is now, researching all these different breathing methods and how it affects the blood and the brain. But what they're not researching is qi, because they don't have methods so much to calculate what qi does for the body. But the Qigong masters have been doing this for thousands of years in their own experiments. So they know what works and how to apply it. So we use many, many different breathing methods in Yochi. And the basic, if you want to talk about what is the most important way to breathe, this would be Dantian breathing, or deep abdominal breathing. So the Qigong breath is abdominal. We breathe in the lower Dantian. And this is the way you train yourself to breathe all the time as a Qigong practitioner. So whether you're at the grocery store, driving, walking around, always Dantian, always in the center. And Dantian breathing is actually a full belly breath. So we breathe the front, sides, and back. And once you train your diaphragm and train the muscles to breathe in this way, you're constantly infusing your body with qi. So
yeah, and that's also our most natural breath, right? That's what babies do when you watch
yes,
baby breathe.
yes, exactly.
Yeah. So what do you have learned from your masters, or according to what you've learned from them, what do you think, why does an ailment come up in the first place?
Well, everything is conditioned. So, we're not born in this world with a clean slate. We inherit the DNA from our parents, our ancestors, and even in the womb, we have womb experiences, whatever our mom was experiencing at that time. So we are born in this life with conditions, and how we deal with those conditions and transform our spirit through this life, it's going to affect our health or determine our health outcome. So we have the choice. And it's like, we have a program, and we're born with a program or a trajectory, and how we change that program is up to us. So this is what I guess you could call karma in the East. And in the Tao, they say that the emotions play a huge role on the state of our health. And this is how those conditions are connected to the health, because those conditions, those say traumas or predispositions, emotional predispositions that we're born with, start to manifest as we interact with the world around us, and we're put in situations. And how do we deal with those situations? So emotions arise. So in the Tao, we're learning how to connect to our emotions, and where do the emotions come from? They are vibrations that actually resonate with the organs. So this is where it gets very spiritual, because each of the organs in the Tao has a spiritual energetic level, which is the spirit. And the spirits are different aspects of our perceived self. So we have different parts of our consciousness awareness of how we perceive who we are. And we express this through our emotions and our connection to the world around us. So transforming emotions is a very big part of health, and a very big reason for illness. When we hold on to emotions for too long, this harms the organs, and it blocks the flow of qi, and it leads us down a path into a very negative vibration. And when our energy field becomes heavy, sticky, dark, you know these emotions: sadness, anxiety, worry, depression, anger, of course. All these negative emotions, they create the vibration frequency. And when we're in that negative loop, this attracts more negative. And then you get attacked. And whether it's on the physical level or energetic level, it eventually results in some illness. So this is the core of the Taoist model. Yeah.
And what can you do then if a student says, okay, I get that, and I want to activate my self-healing capacities? How can I do that?
We have basic practices that we start with, like the 6 healing sounds and the inner smile. So both of these practices are meditations that bring you in touch with your organs and start to have a communication with the organ, which for many people, this is such a beautiful thing, because they've never spoken to their liver before. No one ever told them that they can talk to the liver. But actually, the organs are very intelligent. They are working for us 24 hours a day without us doing anything. And they're very intelligent. And so we just start to connect, to bring our awareness in, to give appreciation and love, and eventually create a dialogue, a listening. So it's not about trying to change or do anything, but actually stepping back and just listening to what the organs have to say, and relaxing the organs, because they have a fascia, sac of fascia around it. And when the tension builds up, not only in the muscles around that, but in the fascia, then this puts a lot of pressure on the organs. So we learn how to relax, smile into the organs, and then start to bring in that cosmic light and connect to the spirit of the organ and to the original spirit of the universe. So always going back to becoming a conduit of energy. And this higher frequency of light and love from the universe, when it starts to pour in and it starts to transform the organs, this is healing. It's already started. Yeah.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And how do you start that? Do you go into a meditation and then try to get in touch with your organs?
Yes. So the inner smile meditation is the first basic, where we start by generating a smile. So whatever brings a smile to your face, whether it's thinking of like a puppy dog or of somebody that made your friend made you laugh, or you can imagine the sun, shining on the water, just something beautiful to invoke a smile, and not just on the lips, but an inner smile, a real smile feeling. Then we spread that smiling energy into the heart, because the heart is the emperor of all the organs, starting with the heart. And from there, we move through the 5 element cycle of Chinese medicine. We go to the spleen, the lungs, the kidneys, and then the liver. And you can take it further into the other yang organs if you like, going small intestine and large intestine. You can go into the glands, you can smile at everything. But to keep it simple, you just smile at the 5 vital yin organs. And then from there, you can bring in the lights. So you start to activate the spirits and draw in the light. Now we draw the light from the universe. So we bring this light into the mid-eye. This is our connection, your personal connection to the universe. Breathing that light in and infusing that light in the organs and starting to experience the virtues. So through this whole meditation, a lot of things come up for different people, depending upon which organ speaks to them the most, where there was a lot of blockage. So these things start to arise. And then once they can effectively connect to the organs, the next step is 6 healing sounds, which use the vibration of the sound and the breath and the mind to purge or clear out the negative energy from the organ, the vibration. And after doing the sound, again, you do the inner smile, you bring in the light and tonify the organ. And so this is the real basic practice. And once you get past those practices, it's really like the body is open and ready to start more advanced practices.
Could you please share with us the 6 sounds?
Sure. So the 6 sounds, you'll find different sounds in different Qigong traditions because they were originally written in characters. And so the books that they're written in are just the characters, which doesn't give us an exact pronunciation. So today there's probably 5 different interpretations that are around. I've studied a few of them. And what I found for me is they all work. I mean, it really doesn't matter. It's just what's important is that you make the sound with the vibration and the intention. I mean, that you're expelling out the negative energy with the sound. This is the key because the sounds are pretty similar anyway. So the 6 healing sounds from Universal Healing Tao tradition of Master Chia is the lung sound is like snake, and the kidney sound is it's like blowing out a candle in a way, or rushing water. The liver sound is this is like soothing a baby. The heart sound, and the spleen sound is it's very guttural in the stomach. You feel it deep. So those are the 6 sounds. Oh, and the last sound is the triple warmer, which is, and this is a great sound to balance and bring the energy down. And all these sounds are great to do at night. So we do the 6 healing sounds, my partner and I, we do them before bed, just in the dark at the edge of the bed, and then lay down and go to sleep right away. Then you don't have bad dreams. You sleep very well.
Oh, what a beautiful ritual.
Yeah.
So how long do you stick to that? For how many minutes or for how many repetitions do you do that?
Well, we kind of do a quickie just at night, because it's, you want to go to bed. And so we just do 1 sound for each organ, or 3. Now, if I was going to do it as a therapy, because I need to really clear, I can take an hour to do the sounds. I'll do the lung sound, and then I'll really work on the lungs for a long time, and then the next one. So, you can adjust it however you want. But we say it's better to do at least 1 and go through it at night than nothing at all, right? And with consistent practice, you're training your energy system so that it knows, when you do the sounds, it reacts very quickly once you do it every night.
All right. You mentioned the triple warmer, but a lot of people in the West have no idea what that is. Can you please go into that a little bit more?
Sure. So there's 2 gifts of Chinese medicine, they say, 2 extra organs that we don't recognize so much in the West, and that's the pericardium and the triple warmer. The pericardium is the actual sac around the heart, but in Chinese, it's very important because the heart would actually explode if it didn't have this sac around it. And the triple warmer, this isn't an actual physical organ, but it's an energetic organ that we can call the 3 burners. So you have the upper burner, the middle burner, and the lower burner. And this regulates the temperature in the body system, which is very important, because if the upper burner, which should be cool, becomes hot due to overthinking, stress, anger, frustration, then the energy flips. And not just like the temperature, but the actual energy is flipped. And then your whole energy field gets flipped upside down. So this heat in the head, we want to bring it down and keep the heat in the belly. So you want the lower burner warm, the lower burner very warm. The middle burner is medium warm, and the upper head is cool. And this is a balanced triple warmer. So when we do the he sound, this calms the triple warmer. Because when we get stressed, actually what happens is the triple warmer goes into overdrive. It's like the police squad, you could say, of your body. And the police come out and they're like on high alert. And it's just that old saying, in the past, we would see a tiger and we needed that stress response to run from the tiger. But nowadays, one little thing during the day triggers us at the grocery store or wherever, and it's like we saw a tiger, and then we hold on to that for the rest of the day. And what's happening is the triple warmer is not turning off. And triple warmer in overdrive, this can lead to insomnia and even malfunctions in the immune system, such as allergies. So now your body's on alert, and it says, like, no, I can't eat that. I can't eat that, even though there's nothing wrong with it. Or allergies to nature, to pollens and things. These are also part of the triple warmer malfunction response. So in this case, you need to, sedate it to calm the triple warmer down, constantly calming the triple warmer. And of course we need it. This is our protective police squad, but we want to regulate it. So that's the function of the triple warmer. And it's much more complicated, but that's the basic.
Yeah, thank you for explaining that. Marisa, myself, I'm a big fan of gua sha and cupping. Do you also use that in your practice?
I am not a Chinese doctor, so I'm not, I don't actually do that to other people, but I've had both done to me, and they're wonderful, very wonderful modalities. Cupping is amazing, and also gua sha. So I do highly recommend. And I recommend all my students to go to a Chinese doctor, to have a Chinese doctor on hand, on call, and use them for preventative and, maintenance, as well as, of course, when you need them. And it will complement the internal alchemy practice of Qigong and yoga. because this is the external qi. The doctor is applying acupuncture, gua sha, moxibustion, whatever it is. These are external applications of balancing your qi. So we need both the external and the internal. Yeah.
Mm. Would you mind sharing with us what a day in your life looks like regarding your self-care or healthcare practice?
Yes. So I get up in the morning and do some morning purging exercises, mostly focused on the stomach and the tendons. And it depends on the season. You know, especially in spring, I start to do more tendon exercises and more purging exercises. Now it's not so much because it's winter. I'll do more stretching and breathing and more gentle, nourishing yin things in the morning, but still purging. And then in the afternoon, I like to do something more dynamic. So I do usually like a yoga. I do asanas. I'll go for a walk outside in nature or a run, and then come back and do internal alchemy. And I do a lot of internal alchemy these days, actually, especially if traveling. If I can only get in like a short practice, I do, you know, some yoga stretching and breathing and some tendon exercises, and then sit and just work on the energy inside. So internal alchemy practices, the basics, you know, you do the microcosmic orbit, but this is, once you get the microcosmic orbit, it goes very quickly. So I'm moved on to some more advanced internal alchemy practices at the moment. But really important, I would say, every day is to connect to spirit, to connect to your higher power of understanding and your soul spirit connection to the universe. Because we need to keep this connection, to keep open, to keep drawing in the higher frequencies. I believe that there are so many beautiful high frequencies coming in right now on the planet. And we need to be open to receive them. And that's the part of maintaining your energy integrated and open to receive these energies, but also and protected. Because at the same time, when there's a lot of light, there's a lot of dark. So we also have to constantly be clearing and protecting. And so this is a fundamental daily thing that I have to do, is cut cords, protect. For me, being on YouTube and having the videos and all the comments and all the people watching, it's when the YouTube channel started to grow, the energy coming towards me, I didn't realize what was happening. And I started to get insomnia, and I started to get it was like, what is wrong? It felt like it was completely out of my control. I didn't know what was going on. And then I tuned into higher self. I asked guides and angels to come in, and it's like, oh my gosh. And I realized, dude, it's out of control. I have to start doing major protection and start, because it's, so you start to understand where in your life you need to protect yourself and where in your life you need to open more. Yeah.
And what would be one technique how to protect yourself?
One way to protect yourself first is you have to clear. So first, clear to protect, because what's happening is that if negative energies are attaching, and usually negative energies attach because we were weak in a certain area, or we weren't paying attention in a certain area of our emotions, in our emotional body. So the aura extends from the heart, right? The aura, our energy, magnetic fields coming from the heart. And this is the center of our emotions. So if we are out of balance emotionally or weak, or we have some holes in the aura, then negative energies can come in. So first you need to cut them off. And there's different techniques to do that. I like to connect to the earth and connect to heaven, call in my guides, ask for assistance. And then I draw in the energy, asking to clear any negative energies in and around my space that do not serve my highest good, and send them back to where they need to go for their soul growth. You know, you have your mantra, your affirmation, and then cutting. You use your hands. You can use your hands to literally cut cords, sweeping your whole aura, sweeping your body. You can sweep down your body and cutting, and you just blowing it into the earth, like purging it all and sending it back, really. And then you stop and breathe to integrate. So deep abdominal breathing integrates all that energy. And then you call in the light. So I choose the light. I am the light. You call in your higher power of understanding, your guides and angels, bring that energy in. And that's the time where you can start doing, any kind of Qigong, also Qigong practices or good practices to bring in the energies and start connecting to the light. So I do this daily. And because if I don't, it makes a huge difference. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. I have a very similar practice, and I know what you're talking about. It does feel good to do that. And I also combine it with a chakra meditation. So,
yeah. That's funny. Yes, so do I. It's the 3 Dantian integration meditation. I have it on the Yochi website. You can download it, buy it and download it, but it's very similar to a chakra meditation, because yes, then the way to raise the vibration is to start integrating all the chakras, all the energies, and then
yeah, beautiful. That's how I end my day. Before I go to bed, I do the chakra meditation. It's like energetical toothbrushing for me. Some people, a lot of people think of brushing their teeth, but they don't clear their energy field before they go to bed. So that is so important.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that, Marisa.
Okay.
Are there any final words of wisdom from your side? Anything else you want to share with us?
Well, I would say put your spirit in the driver's seat. If there's anything that's been so profound in my life, it's learning how to take my mind out of the driver's seat and allow my higher power of understanding, connection to source, to guide life. And that requires trust in the universe and letting go. And this is our evolution, is to raise our vibration, to raise our consciousness, and to actualize our higher self spirit integrated in this physical body. And that's what I believe my purpose here is, and to share it with others, how to do that if they don't know how themselves. So yeah, if you're interested to learn more, yochi.com, it's YOQI.com. And then of course we have the Yochi YouTube channel, Yochi Yoga and Qigong. And I have the video on demand library. So this is a $15 a month subscription library. And I have put over 60 practices in there now, and it's always growing. We're just putting up a video today, self-massage for winter. So we put the videos according to the seasons. With so many thousands of styles of Qigong out there, I realized, when I was designing videos, it's like, well, now there's all these practices, but how are people going to know what to do? So I designed the library according to the seasons. So I will guide you through each season with seasonal practices, and you can choose from those practices according to what you need to purge, tonify, or circulate your qi. So that's available, as well as the Yochi Qigong Fundamentals course, which is, I believe, like one of the best courses on the market right now. It's so incredibly extensive and deep and beautiful to watch. So that's another option, and you can come train with me in our live workshops and immersions. Yeah.
Yeah, and I can only highly recommend your videos. I've seen a lot of them, and they are so beautiful, with a wonderful background and different sceneries. Just beautiful to watch.
Thank you.
Marisa, thank you so very much for sharing your time and your wisdom with us. I really appreciate that you were on the show. Thank you so very much.
It's my pleasure. So nice to talk with you, and hope to see you again soon.
Yeah, I hope so too. Thank you so much, and many blessings to you and everyone watching. Thank you.
Blessings. Bye.
Bye.